Bradford will get the game underway. They will kick to Batley. Batley will defend the Ruley Lane end, and Bradford will defend the South Bank Conference Suite end. So Lee Smith gets us underway then with a decent kick. That bounces and eventually is picked up by Wayne Retty. And the touch judge comes on to say that Wayne Retty put a foot in touch there, Mark. So we'll have a scrum down, and Bradford will get head and feed straight from this one, Mark. And again, no better opening.
No better opening. You talked about a good opening. You're absolutely right, Pete, because Batley will sniff. They've got some experienced players out there. They will sniff the Bulls' weaknesses and they will capitalise on them. So if they get some points and put some pressure on here, or at least get the ball back if they don't score, then it's another set for the Bradford Bulls. And I expect them to. I think Jeff Tubular said, look, let's try and put a lot of pressure on the first 10 minutes.
So Bradford then will go in search of points here with Damien Sirenen. Damien Sirenen is wrapped up by 4 of the Batley defenders. He's held centre field around about 5 metres shy of the Batley try line. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering there, because as I'm stuttering we see a try scored by, I think that was Josh Ricketts, was it?
Sam Alice. I think it was Sam Alice looking at the swallow dive. I think that was Sam Alice, and that all came from Sirenen. I mean, Sirenen hit the heart of the Batley forward power, and he hit it hard as well, did Sirenen. It took 4 of them to get him down. The Batley players weren't back up in defence because of Sirenen. He's the hitman for me at the moment. And whilst we're thinking about going back in defence, Sam Alice saw a gap there. He scooted Jimmy Lowe's style under the Batley defenders, and that's what prop forward play is all about from Sirenen. Although he plays in the loose forward position, he is a prop forward. Superb from him. So that's the Sam Alice. The Bradford Bulls 4, the visitors the Batley Bulldogs 0. A kick to come under the post, and that's just what the doctor ordered. And if the Bradford Bulls can keep this pressure and not make any mistakes, Pete, that's when you can win this game.
Well, you couldn't have asked for a better start there. We saw Lee Smith kick off. We saw the Dominic Rambani just let the ball bounce and get away from him. That then kind of like confused Wayne Retty. Wayne Retty took the ball but put a foot in touch. Bradford got the ball back, which is great, at the scrum, and just what the doctor ordered then, Mark, we managed to score, and Corey Aston converts to push the score out to Bradford Bulls 6, Batley Bulldogs 0 in the opening stages of this one.
And Corey Aston converted, and Corey Aston's not bad with the boot, but I think the wind is in the faces of the Bradford players. But I don't think it'll make too much difference today. The pitch in fantastic condition, as you say. The shades are green and superb as we come into late August, and the autumn is about to descend upon us. But let's not wish autumn here too early. But autumn for the Bradford Bulls will be a difficult time because we think there's more players to depart. But the young guns will have to make their mark, and today is a good time to do it, Pete, in this game.
So Bradford then on the third tackle managed to get towards the halfway line with Liam Kirk, and they will be awarded a penalty for the high shot that came in from Batley. Now we see the referee take Batley another 10 metres for speaking back to him. He's actually calling the Batley captain and the Batley player out there, Mark, to say, look, I think the referee's putting his mark down early.
Well, he must have listened, or something's been said about last week's game, because that is excellent refereeing, because there was a high shot on the Bradford player there. Farrell plays that type of game. He's a very robust player. It's part of his makeup, and you can't knock that to a certain extent. That could have been dangerous, but the Bradford player shook it off. Then he mouthed at the referee. Farrell will now know this man won't mess about, and if he can keep this up, the referee, you won't see any great, I don't think, shakes in terms of over-the-top physicality from Batley.
So Ross Peltier then gets Bradford on the front foot. He will make his way towards the Batley 10 metre line with her first drive. Liam Kirk then does manage to get Bradford inside the 10 metres as the ball is a bit of a sloppy pass, but that's picked up by James Mendika. James Mendika goes one way, then cuts back on the inside. Bradford still centre field, will go looking for more points. Damien Sirenen, who's fed the ball from Scott Moore on another inside pass. Damien Sirenen falls awkward there on his shoulder, and he looks a bit groggy on that one, Matt, as play is stopped here at the Provident Stadium.
Well, it shows you how much that meant to Batley, now how they rate Damien Sirenen, because they're sort of checking the putting I-5 up, because I think he's gone down here, so it just shows you how they rate Sirenen.
Well, I hope it's...
and this will be a big blow at the Bulldogs.
Yeah, I hope it's not too much of a blow, Matt, and I hope that, that whatever's on that magic sponge can do its magic, because Bradford can certainly not afford to have a player of his calibre, going off the park so early in this one, when they were looking strong, they were looking good, Matt, and the gaps were appearing, and just unfortunately he fell awkward there on his left shoulder, but hopefully we'll see what can be done as the medical team.
Well, obviously they picked him out. They've watched the video from last week, and Batley haven't done anything really illegal apart from the nice shot on Farrell, but you can see 4 or 5 going into whack Suranen. So that's why the Bradford pack have got to run in numbers. They can't let him run as a lone warrior. Ultimately somebody's going to take the ball in on their own. But if you're running numbers off the ruck area, left and right of the ball carrier, it just confuses defence, because who are we going to go for? He's going to slip the ball, and they've got to do that. But this will be a big loss if he goes off, because he's I thought last week it was a difference between the two sides at Swinton. He dented Swinton's appetite for coming viciously at the Bradford Bulls, and that allowed the Bradford backs to do the stuff against the Swinton defence.
I'll give you some quick score updates as I've got them then. Obviously Bradford Bulls 6, Batley 0, Dewsbury Rams 0, Swinton 6, Rochdale Hornets 0, Oldham 4 are the early scores that we've got at this stage of the game here. So stoppage in play, we see Damien Suranen slowly but surely sort of like regather. He's just shaking off the cobwebs. I don't know whether he'll remain on the park. I think the physios are still checking him and asking him and see whether he wants to continue or not. Corey Aston stands with a ball in hand as Damien Suranen gets up. I think they're going to just as a precautionary measure, Mark. Is he going to make his way off the park?
Yeah, I think they're giving some sort of test out there. I think there's a knock there, and
so we'll wait for
what that means for me, Pete, is when you see a pack mate go off like that.
Yeah.
And obviously came in for a little bit of attention there. I'm not saying it was vicious from Batley, but they wanted him off. They could see the way 4 of them came at him.
Yeah.
2 or 3 other forwards are going to say, we're not having that. You're not coming here to our midding and brain us about. So we're going to knock. So the other forwards now say, you're going to get some back for that. And if I was pack leader, I'd be saying, right, let's rip into these guys, Farrell, Rowe, and all these others, and let's give them some thrape.
So Brandon Wilkinson then replaces Damien Suranen, and will go off and is being taken down the tunnel just to be checked that he's okay. Bradford then on the 5th and last tackle. Sit round about 17 metres away from the Batley Bulldogs try line. A little kick over the top, that will be a tester, but Ilias, that's taken there cleanly by Bradford, by Batley with Sean Ainscough. Sean Ainscough then will get the play back underway on the Batley 20-metre line. Then Batley will manage to slowly but surely edge their way up to their own 30-metre line, as Batley will now go in search, trying to find an opening, testing the Bradford defence in these opening stages here at the Provident Stadium. Dom Brambani there offloads the ball to Dave Scott. Dave Scott takes a drive, manages to get Batley up to the halfway line as play continues here on the 4th tackle. Batley now managing to get into the Bradford half, get to the 40-metre line on the 4th tackle, and again we see Alistair Leake looking to keep his troops on the front foot, with Wayne Retty over on the far northern terrace side actually dropping the ball goes back. The referee says that's back to 1. It actually touched a Bradford player, so Bradford now will have another set of 6 to defend against as Batley sit on the 40-metre line, and certainly now starting to build a head of steam against this Bradford defence. But what can Bradford do defence wise? They can stand strong and bring down the Batley player on that one, but Batley will now send in the big guns, and the big guns with William Maher will take that drive and get Batley onto the 20-metre line. Batley still putting the balls around, will go to Farrell, and a forward pass then is called on that one, so that's the first error of the afternoon for Batley that will give Bradford back the possession. Mark, anything that you've seen so far, anything that's caught your eye? That
I think that Batley have been subdued because they've had the football, and I think if you take it to Batley and extinguish this bit of firepower they have in the pack, then I think the 3 quarters for Bradford can do the damage. So they really need to more of what they had in the first 5 minutes, really taking it to Batley, taking it out of the pack and pulling the ball away, fast hands at first receiver, pulling the ball away into the centres on a snap breakaway, because Batley I don't think defend the line out wide as fast as they should do. They're like a central channel battle, Batley. They play the game about 20 metres either side. They play the ball area.
So Ross Peltier then takes the first drive of this set of 6, manages to get Bradford towards their own 30-metre line, which is now reached by Brandon Wilkinson. Play will continue. Liam Kirk takes his drive and gets Bradford over their own 40-metre line on the third tackle. The ball currently sits around about centre field, but Bradford putting the balls through hands, and Cameron Smith loses that one. That will see Batley race away, and that will call for Sam Alice to come in and tackle. The ball's last in the tackle, but then a knock on. Batley think that they've got to try. The referee rules knock on. Batley will bring play back to the 30-metre line.
Well, I'll tell you there's a problem there, and I'm going to be critical of somebody, and it's Cameron Smith. And the reason why Cameron Smith dropped the ball is because he ran half-heartedly at his opponents. And you've got to run harder and stronger and faster off the ruck area. It's a forward's job, particularly in the back row. When you're bringing the ball away, you can't do anything fancy. You've got to run at the gap and not at the man. And you're going to tuck the ball under. And if you get a clout, you get a clout. And what he's doing is looking at the play coming at him, and he dropped the ball. That was dangerous from Cameron Smith. He needs to get into the middle. His shape and his structure was wrong. He shouldn't have been stood where he was stood. He just stood a bit more square, run into the gap of these Batley forwards. Run to the side of them.
Callum Straw, the referee, then takes a play back to the Bulls 40-metre line. He will give head and feed to Batley. Batley will now continue and look to go in search of their first points of the afternoon. Throwing the ball about with a bit of ease of Batley, but Bradford muscling up in defence, and Batley now will come forward and again put the ball through hand. We'll see Dom Bram Barney then wrapped up in the tackle on the Bradford Bulls 20-metre line on the fourth tackle. But Batley still come down this main stand terrace side as they go in search of the first points of the afternoon. Another tackle then is wrapped up by 3 Bradford defenders, and Batley sitting around about 5 metres shy of the Bradford Bulls try line. They will push the ball over to the far northern terrace side. A little kick there will go over the head and bounce into touch. I think that will come off Wayne Retty and be a scrum feed to Bradford.
That's exactly right. Yeah, just a little bit too much on that, wasn't there? But that's obviously a tactic that Batley will employ, Pete, kicking to the course, thinking they can out-jump the young, inexperienced Bradford wingers, and it hasn't worked so far. Yeah,
you've got Josh Ricketts and Vila Halafihi on that side, and I know we spoke to Vila through the week, we spoke to him after the game, and he'll go in search of more tries this afternoon if he can, Mark.
Well, we need it, don't we, in the Bradford Bulls need it, but it's currently with 10 minutes gone today, Bank Holiday Monday. The Bulls 6, the visitors 0. Brought to you, of course, with Provident, supporting Bull supporters in association with Provident, even supporting Bull supporters home and away.
So Bradford get their third penalty then of the afternoon, as Joe Farrell is adjudged to not clear the ruck area quick enough for referee Callum Straw's liking. So that will see Corey Aston then kick to touch on this main stand side. That will get Bradford to restart on the 40-metre line, and play continues then. Cameron Smith takes the first drive of this set of 6, manages to fall just short of the halfway line, but Bradford again through Brandon Wilkinson will go forward on the front foot, managing to get inside the Batley half now with Sam Alice. He will feed Corey Aston to Scott Moore to Lee Smith.
Wow,
Lee Smith to Vila Halafihi, and Vila Halafihi is wrapped up there by Wayne Retty. But Bradford still keeping the ball alive through the likes of Corey Aston, linking well with Liam Kirk. And again, Bradford will now switch sides, and Cameron Smith will straighten up and try to go towards the Batley 20-metre line. Ball strip there, Mark.
Yes, but he was lucky there was Cameron Smith, and probably people will think I'm anti-Cameron Smith this afternoon. A rugby league forward, a back row forward, cannot change his step, Pete. He can't go back and decide to jink round. You've got to go hard and fast through the central channel. You've got to hit the gap, and that's by changing his footwork at the last minute. He got caught in the tackle, and I think he was lucky there, but the referee judged getting ripped out.
So Bradford get the 4th penalty afternoon. They decide to tap it, and now on the second drive of this set of 6, will put the ball through hands. Scotty Moore then will hit Brandon Wilkinson. Brandon Wilkinson is eventually wrapped up, but will Liam Kirk crash over? The Bulls players say yes, and the referee points to the spot. So again, Bradford then working it well, managing to pinch another try from close range, Mark, and I'm sure that's Liam Kirk who managed to crash that one over.
Liam Kirk crashing over there from short, and I said it'd be firepower who would do it today, soften Batley up, and I think Batley would capitulate. Still a long way to go, but the ball being carried over to the far left-hand side of the ground. 10 metres out, came back in. Liam Kirk backed himself. He saw the gap in the Batley defence. I talk about running in between defenders, running off the shoulder of a defender, make them stretch out and tackle you. That's what Kirky did. Put his long frame over the line, stretched out. It would be me, I'd have been short because I'm about 5'11". Kirky's about 6'3", 6'4". Stretched out, touched the ball down. Great try to the Bradford Bulls, and the conversion had come about 8 metres to the left-hand side of the Batley sticks.
Yes, well, it's be up that Corey Ashton can convert this one. I'm not going to put my mortgage or all like that on it, Mark.
No, but I did that last week and you missed a few.
I'm living in an Rolling Road at the minute, so. But he is normally a pretty reliable kicker, and I know he does spend hours at Tong practicing, before and after training. So again, perfecting his craft, and he's only a young lad, so he's got plenty of time to improve his skill. But he does manage to kick that one then, so that will see the Bradford Bulls now lead the Batley Bulldogs 12-0 here at the Provident Stadium. And you're listening to the Big Match Live, brought to you in association with Provident, supporting Bull supporters home and away.
Well, so far so good, Pete. You talked about not making mistakes. They haven't made too many of the Bradford Bulls. You talked about keeping the penalty count down. They've done that. The last tackle option's been reasonably good, and that's why they're leading by 12-0. A long way in this game to go. And we've seen the Bradford Bulls lead by bigger leads than this and succumb those leads to defeats. But let's hope today that that's not the case, and these youngsters can gain some even more confidence. Batley play around to play the ball, and Dave Manning throwing a couple of punches there, and you see...
Is he having a niggle at Ross Peltier?
Yes, he was having a niggle at Ross Peltier, and the referee's saying, one more time, I think that's what he was saying, and you're on a team warning.
Yeah, I think he's given that signal there.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I saw on the far side of the ground. And it's the Bradford Bulls who were bringing it out of defence. They were 12 metres, 30 metres from their own line, about 10 metres in from the dressing room side. They now kick the penalty against from 30 metres. So the Bradford Bulls on the 40 metre mark.
So Bradford Bulls then wrapped up on the 40 metre mark through Brandon Wilkinson. But Bradford now getting up a little bit of head of steam as the sun breaks the clouds here at Odsal Stadium and bathed in glorious sunshine. We see the ball go through hands, eventually finds his way back to Brandon Wilkinson. He offloads to Sam Alice to Ross Peltier. Scott Moore drops the shoulder and spots the gap. That will see Bradford race 35 metres shy of the Batley Bulldogs try line, and a head-high tackle comes in there from Batley. Now, if I'm not too sure, Mark, but that is a team warning, and that sees obviously after Jason Crooks takes out Vila Halafihi, I think it is. Is it Vila Halafihi, or is it...
we've got 3 players around him and looking concerned, and we've got the referee stood in front of us, and we've got the... No,
I don't think it's Vila Halafihi, Mark.
Is it Corey Aston? We'll tell you in a second when we see the number on the back. But, Batley getting frustrated, they're getting rattled, because I think they thought they could come in and beat this Bradford team quite easily. And they haven't done, and they haven't played well at all. So what they're trying to do is they're getting frustrated, and they're hoping to out-muscle this. Obviously Matt Diskin said, look, rattle the Bradford lads, the young lads, and they've held firm.
James Bentley it was who got one for his troubles then.
Yes.
And
moving on to St Helens.
He is off to St Helens, a great talent. Will be a big loss here, Mark, as we've said before.
Massive loss, long way to go before he's, but part of the apprenticeship, and I'd love to see him stay here because he knows his way to the line, and he gets stuck in. But sadly, part of the situation we're in, we have to say goodbye to James Bentley at the end of the season.
So Bradford have their 5th penalty of the opening stanza here at the Provident Stadium, Odsal, and we'll wait for the referee to get things back underway. So Bradford take the tap. Liam Kirk will force his way towards the 20 metre line. He's wrapped up again by Joe Farrell in some more heavy-handed tackles there. Ross Peltier is then wrapped up by a further 3 tacklers, and again Batley slow to clear the ruck. But we'll see the ball continue through Corey Aston. Corey Aston then manages to get Bradford over the 10 metre line. Bradford now sitting around about 8 metres shy of the Batley Bulldogs try line on the 3rd tackle. Ross Peltier will drop one way, go the other, and he'll bulldoze his way towards the sticks, Mark. But again, he's just wrapped up by some heavy Batley tackling. as Scotty Moore tries to find a gap over on the northern stand Tirra side, but that sees Brandon Wilkinson wrapped up. Sorry, James Bentley wrapped up. But now Batley managed to come up with possession and will get a penalty for Bradford being offside. Mark.
Well, Scotty Moore to the fore. Most things that Bradford are doing is either he's playing the extra pivot role, he's bringing the backs on to the ball, and he kicked the ball through there, and it went like a bullet diagonally from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, but it hit the Batley player, bounced him just nicely. He brought the ball away, but Bradford just wondering what was happening and were caught offside, so the penalty to Batley, and they're now up to the halfway line. That's the thing that Jeff will be disappointed about, in that you're attacking the opponent's line. The last tackle option is going to be good, so you go from attacking the opponent's line to defending your own 40 metre mark in the space of 10 seconds. That's why we're in the first division next year, because we've not done that well all season.
So Batley then now sit deep inside the Bradford Bulls half as they ball attack the 30 metre line. The ball, well, it was a forward pass, but the referee's letting that play on with Wayne Retty.
Let that go, the referee.
And Wayne Retty over on the northern stand Tirra side, but Batley will put the ball through hands. Do come up with an error. That sees Ross Peltier offload to Cameron Smith. Cameron Smith then quick to Corey Aston as Joe Farrell takes Corey Aston around the head, much to the annoyance of the fans. The referee's going to say that's a knock on, but why isn't the touch judge, Mark? The touch judge is closer to the play of the ball than what we are. Well, we can see that back here. Why hasn't he done anything there?
Well, you don't single players out for judicial attention, but we all know what type of player Joe Farrell is. We all know what type of player he is. The linesman's 20 metres away. If he couldn't see that, it says on the back of his shirt, Specsavers. Well, that's where he needs to go tomorrow morning, but they've got away with that, Batley. That's the game Batley are going to play today. Bradford are going to have to man up physically and suck Batley into that, be equal to it physically, hit him hard in the tackle, and let the young guns do the...
Well, Joe Farrell then, he's certainly getting a warm reception here as Mikel Adolescu comes on for the Bradford Bulls. Batley now sit around about 25 metres shy, well 15 metres shy, sorry, of the Bradford try line. But again, Bradford defence is standing resolute, and it's a good defensive effort from Bradford that's managing to repel Batley. But as I say, that sees the hooker Alistair Leake cross over on the northern stand Tirra side. So Bradford, just when you thought the defence was getting on top, have come up then and allowed Batley in for a soft try, Mark. Well,
a very, very soft try, and I think what the Bradford Bulls players were doing there, this shows maturity. I think they were still a bit niggled with the decision not to penalise Farrell for a head-high tackle, and it just shows that sometimes being a little bit dirty and a little bit aggressive does work, because it worked for Farrell there. I think the Bradford players didn't like that. They didn't get on with the game. They planted their heels into the turf, and it went to the blind side, and the Batley player threw the dummy and then come off his left foot and touched the ball down. Very weak defending, and again, that's not good for the Bradford Bulls. And if he converts this, it's going to be Batley Bulldogs. Well, at the moment it's Bradford Bulls 12, Batley Bulldogs 4. It'll be 12-6, and then Batley back in it. But you can see him creeping back in it through physicality, through sheer physicality. Susan's gone off. Our hit man, our hard man. The other players have got to step up to the mark. The second rows, the back rows, you've got to hit it in hard. You've got to meet fire with fire. If the referee's not doing anything about it, you haven't got to get frustrated. You've got to take the law in your own hands. And there's no law in the lance, and you can't hit hard in the opposition.
We wait for the conversion kick then, and that fails on that attempt there. So the score, as we say then on the Provident scoreboard, after 20 minutes here in the first half, reads Bradford Bulls 12, Batley Bulldogs 4, and Bradford will get the game back underway and will kick towards the return kick to Batley as they defend the Ruley Lane end. And we wait for Lee Smith to place the ball on the kicking tee then. He's just checking, just making sure everyone's in position. Strikes the ball goes deep. That will go towards Dominic Brambani. Dominic Brambani takes that cleanly. He will feed Jason Crooks. Jason Crooks will come on a run and manages to get his team to the 10 metre line as Batley now will use all their muscle and might with Thomas Lillycrop then taking a drive then and getting to the 20 metre line. Plays a bit slow around the ruck area. Referee telling people to pull to speed up. Alex Rowe now comes on for the Batley Bulldogs, and he's a no-nonsense character, so he'll want to mix it up and rough it up as soon as he can. Batley are appealing for offside, but the referee's having none of it. They now sit on the 40 metre line, their own 40 metre line, and play continues here with Joe Farrell taking the drive. He manages to get the Batley Bulldogs open deep towards the 40 metre line of the 40 metre line of the Bradford Bulls, and a kick on the last from Brambini sees that taken quite nicely by Ilias Makani. Ilias Makani beats one tackle, will then drop his shoulder and come the other way. He spots the gap, but he's eventually hauled down on the Bradford Bulls 20 metre line. Bradford quick to play the ball then. Cameron Smith, I don't think he really expected that, but Batley being shelled out here for need to be onside, but Ilias Makani will take another drive then after Cameron Smith's drive. Bradford now on the third tackle sit 35 metres away from their own try line, but Cameron Smith is in again. He will manage to get the Bradford Bulls over their own 40 metre line, and Corey Aston will feed, Sam Alice will feed Brandon Wilkinson. Brandon Wilkinson will take the drive and get Bradford into the Batley half on this set of 6. Fifth and last tackle sees a little kick from Corey Aston. That will go dead, so Batley will restart on the 20 metre line on a 7 tackle set, I think, Mark, if I'm not correct.
Yes, it will be a second 7 tackle set, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And Mikolaj Oletsky on the field, of course. Let's hope he can play like he did last week against Swinton, because the Bradford Bulls need it. It's all about physicality at the moment. But I think Corey Aston and Scott Moore just don't click together. I think Scotty Moore's a good rake, but he's not fast enough to play stand-up half. And I think that's where, when Bradford do get into some good attacking, they're relying on the forward power to carry him over the line instead of some good, clever half-back play.
You see, I would change that. If I were Tilby now, I'd be looking at that. I'd change it. I would move Sam Alice in at that pivot position.
Correct. Yeah. I would as well.
And let Scotty Moore go in. Scotty Moore go in at hooker. Yeah. And just control.
I would.
Things.
I'd have him in and around to think, controlling things in Sharon Yard. He's not a stand-up half in Scotty Moore. It's needs must because of injuries, unfortunately. Yeah. And that's not a criticism.
No, it's a great player, you know what I mean,
and
etc. But we see Batley then with a little chip kick that's collected by Ilias Makani. Ilias Makani then is has the ball knocked out of his hand, and the referee was going to give a penalty to Batley for Bradford being offside. So another interesting little passage of play. We've seen errors coming from the Bradford team. I mean, that the 4th error of the afternoon in the opening 20 minutes or so that we've had here at the Provident Odson Stadium. We have a player down injured for Bradford in back play. We see Alistair Lee with the ball in hand talking to the referee.
Can I ask a question, Pete?
Of course you can,
can I make a statement? Did you ever think you'd see the day when the Batley side out-muscled the Bradford side? Because I can't, with all due respect to Batley, I can never, down the years, with all, and they've had some tough kids play at Batley, would you have seen a Batley pack come here and out-muscle the Bradford pack? It just would not have happened. It's happening this afternoon, and that's why they're getting back into the game. In my opinion, Pete,
Yeah, no. Like I say, Mark, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, as we know. People that tune into this, to our commentary, we ask them for their opinion, and we value their opinion, and we take on board the comments and criticism, and we endeavour to make this broadcast work for them. But you're right, Mark. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. In what you're saying, if you roll the clock back, then no, Bradford wouldn't be. But if you look at this,
I've lived in yesteryear, haven't I? I am living in yesteryear.
If you look at this Batley team today, and you look at the pack that they've got, their pack is a little bit more robust. It's played together for the last 2 or 3 seasons. As we see, Batley
That's exactly
through Jason Crooks.
No, I think was it Jason Crooks or was it James Harrison?
Was it James Harrison?
I think so.
All right.
Yeah, they all ran, and they ran in numbers, did the Batley players, and I think it was James Harrison.
It was James Harrison. Yeah, it was James Harrison.
Well, that was a really simple try. We're just talking about the inefficiency of the Bradford side, and they stood and planted their feet on the line once again, and all Batley had to do was just run, and nobody moved. If you don't move off the line and get into people's face, that's what happens. And now they're coming really back into the game now, and it's remarkably noticeable since Dane Surnan went off. The bite, the teeth, the fire, the snarl, the grizzle has gone out of the Bradford side, and Batley know that, and that's why they're targeted Surnan, in my opinion. And if he's not going to come back on, I think we're going to have a hard afternoon this afternoon.
So we wait for Pat Walker then to see if he can convert this one. This one a relatively straightforward kick for Pat Walker, so he should be able to kick this one, which he does. That will then now bring the scoreboard on the Provident scoreboard to Bradford Bulls 12, Batley Bulldogs 10. And as you rightly say, Mark, that since Damien Surnan was taken off injured, Bradford seem to have lost some of the go forward and some of the grit that we've seen in the last 3 weeks that Bradford has certainly had.
Well, if I was a young man playing for Bradford now, I'd think, right, I don't have a reputation, nobody really knows me, but I'll tell you what, when I go off this park this afternoon, somebody's going to know me, because I'm going to go hell for leather at these Batley forwards, and they're going to get some. And that's what we've got to do. We've got to give them some hard in the tackle. They've got to really hurt them in the tackle, but you've got to defend off your toes and not off your back of your balls or your feet. It's no good. They've got to move up and get into the faces.
Well, we see James Davis out there now for Bradford as Batley come up. Well, I thought that'd have been a knock-on, but the referee says no. There was a hand in there, so that's another penalty to Batley. They're third of the afternoon so far. That will see Batley march downfield to the Bradford Bulls 40-metre line, and we'll see Alistair Leake get the play underway. He will send the big frame of Dane Manning on a drive, and Batley will keep the ball alive. They're managing to get to the Bradford Bulls 20-metre line here at the Provident Stadium also, but we'll also see again Alistair Leake move the ball into the northern stand terrace side as Batley look to put the ball quickly through some hands, but Vila Halafihi there managing to make that tackle. As we see now, Batley come back towards the centre of the park on the Bradford Bulls 10-metre try line on the fourth tackle. The ball's going through hands, gaps appearing everywhere, and that will be one of the softest tries that you'll ever see scored here at Odsall, and that will see James Harrison get his second of the afternoon. So his dad, Carl, who's not sat too far away from us, he's going to be pleased with that.
He is, and that James Harrison, that had a try all over it, because what James Harrison did was he saw the gaps in the Bradford defence. The body language of the Bradford players walking behind the post tells you everything. I have a worry now the floodgates going up, and I think this could be a massacre, because physically Batley are just walking all over the top of Bradford, and when you play a rugby league game, there's one thing you've got to be a man. You've got to run hard and you have a big heart on your left breast. If you don't do any of that in a rugby league game, you might as well not even bother going on the field, because it's a waste of time. That was the simplest try I've ever seen scored. Take nothing away from James Harrison. He started running, he didn't even run at full tilt, he saw the gap, and it was as if a Bradford player said, just go on then, go touch it down, son. I don't think Jeff too will be fuming with that. That is absolutely rubbish defence.
Well, it was very, very weak defending. We can't obviously defend against that in what we see.
You're going to describe it as it is, Pete, because anything else
we can't paint it up, can we?
No, well, I know a very famous rugby league commentator who says I always make it positive. Well, what do you mean by that? You tell a lie about the form, the way the play is. That's garbage. That was garbage defending. Play it back and have a look. Let all the listeners play that back and have a look at that. If you think that's acceptable from people who get paid to play rugby league, that is not acceptable.
Well, the score on the Providence scoreboard now reads Bradford Bulls 12, the Batley Bulldogs 16. So Batley take the lead in this one for the first time this afternoon, and will again receive the kick deep from Lee Smith, but Batley managed to get to their own 20-metre line before being wrapped up in a two-man tackle of Mikel Alaleski and James Davis. But then Alex Rowe will muscle his way forward, and again we've seen the big men of Batley really wanting to test the young outside wing and centres of the Bradford Bulls here at the Provident Stadium also. But the ball will go through hands as we see Dom Bram Barney then offload to keep the ball alive, and then the Batley managing to keep it alive through Alistair Leake, and Alistair Leake managing to get to the 40-metre line of the Bradford Bulls. So what will Batley do here? They'll bring Alex Rowe on another crossfield run. He will look to offload, but eventually he's wrapped up on the fifth and last tackle. Batley sit now just shy of the 30-metre line, but we'll see a little kick from Bam Barney. That will go into the hands of Lee Smith. Lee Smith will pick that up 11 metres away from his own try line, and Bradford now have possession and will now have a set of six to come back up the field and ask questions of this Batley Bulldogs team. So Mikel Alaleski then takes a barnstorming drive and manages to get Bradford 25 metres away from their own try line on that drive. But Bradford looking, putting the balls through hand. The ball then comes this way to the main stand terrace, the main stand side through James Mendika. James Mendika is wrapped up on this 30-metre line. Ilias McCarney will then take a drive. He's managing to get about 4 metres there on that run. But Bradford on the fifth and last then now will go to Corey Aston. Corey Aston will kick that ball. The ball will go to the waiting Alex Rowe. Alex Rowe will pick the ball up, and he manages to get his way back to around about 5 metres shy of the halfway line here at Odsal. But Batley still looking a little bit more enthused and a little bit more lively with their set of possession that they're certainly enjoying here. Will bring the ball forward again, managing to get to Bradford 40 metre line, and Bradford having to stand resolute in defence as Batley will go in search of more points. So Alex Rowe then again takes a forward drive. He will look to offload. That ball comes out in the tackle. Now that was offside, but the referee says no, let's play forward. Adam Gledall took that ball in a forward position. Batley then do come up with the knock on that we'll see Bradford get the put in at the scrum, but again a little bit of an odd passage of play, Mark.
It was an odd passage of play. The reason being that, again, you know, I've talked about it time and time again, the shape and structure of Bradford coming out of their own defence is not quite right. You've got to have your big men left and right of the ruck. You've got to call in for the ball. You've got to run in numbers. They're running ones slightly diagonally. It's going out to the centre to try and break away. And with the last two sets Bradford have had, they haven't gained 40 metres out of their own half. Corey Aston had to kick on about the 38 metre mark, and they retrieved the ball, did Batley. And by the time we returned it on tackle one, they're only 10 metres away from where Corey Aston kicked it. You've got no chance in that situation, absolutely no chance.
Well, Bradford then, on the second tackle, on their own 40 metre line, will put the ball through hands. That's a bad pass from James Davis. It does bounce backwards, but sees Brandon Wilkinson having to go back to pick that up. He's then eventually wrapped up as Bradford slowly but surely try and work their way forward. James Davis then again offloads in the tackle. That ball then goes loose, and that sees Batley regather that. So again, James Davis trying to offload, Mark, which should have never have happened, and Sam Alice then comes in with a bit of a swinging arm. He's looking to get away with that. But going back to the play of James Davis, that was a bad pass, Mark.
Sorry, man. Yes, I was just saying sorry there because I knocked something off the press bench. The wind's got up, but that was poor from James Davis. Trying to offload in your own sort of defensive area when there was nothing on you batted the players all over you was absolutely foolhardy.
Batley then with Alex Rowe will go towards the Bradford Bulls try line. Alex Rowe is wrapped up on the fifth and last tackle as the referee holds the hand up high saying fifth and last tackle. What will Batley do here? The ball goes to Brambani. Brambani then feeds feeds Pat Walker. Pat Walker then knocks on, so that's another error for Batley, but that will hand possession on the fifth and last tackle to Bradford. He will start with a tap as we wait for play to the referee saying come on, let's speed this up. What are we waiting for?
The Bradford players don't want it, Pete. I'm telling you now, the Bradford pack does not want this, and this is a big worry for me, and it's something that's hard to commentate on, but you've got to do. They were stood around, the shape wasn't there was a massive gap between the last pack man and the standoff half. It's going east to west, there's no penetration down the central channel, and Batley will soak this up all day long, and they'll keep Bradford held back to the halfway line unless they can put in a massive kick, or maybe even a one to the touchline.
Well, Bradford now
dragged in the touch instead.
Bradford going a touch there, and it's all kicking off over on the northern stand to the side. We see players running in from both sets, both teams here, Matt, and again it's getting a bit, it's still continuing, is a niggle as the referee's trying to break this one up, but I think the referee's going to have a job on his hands here, Mr. Callum Straw, to settle this one down, Mark. You know, he did well in the opening stage.
He's let it go a little bit, yeah.
But as you say, Batley have been allowed to get away with a little bit of the niggle,
yeah.
And I think that's continued, and I think it's just slightly spoiling the game here at Odsal. But he's going to form the scrum. He's going to give the feed to Batley as Bradford went into touch.
Yes, I think he is. I think Batley's going to get ahead of feed, by the look of it.
Yeah. So
with 7 minutes, I think it's 7 minutes left on the clock. It's the
I think it's about 7 minutes. Yeah.
The visitors Batley Bulldogs 16. The programme brought to you in association with Provident, supporting Bull supporters home and away.
So Brambani then will look to get his big forward pack on the move here as Batley go in search of more points in this first half. Another penalty then is awarded to Batley for not being square, and that is Batley's 4th penalty of the half. So referee being fair, as Bradford have 5 penalties and Batley have 4 in this first half. Alex Rowe then gets the ball from Alistair Leake. Alex Rowe will use his big frame to go forward, and now Batley sit around about 8 metres shy of the Bradford try line. What can they do here? They'll put the ball through hand. Brambani then feeds James Harrison, and that will see James Harrison score a hat-trick, a first half hat-trick here at the Odsal Stadium. And Mark, that, if you look at that, that was like deja vu, because that just opened up the gap for him. Similar to what it does, it was like seeing Moses and the parting of the Red Sea.
Well, that's what happens when you don't want to defend, and when you don't want it, you don't want to put your body on the line. Take nothing away from James Harrison. Deja vu, almost the same as the try he scored earlier, and he's a second row forward, but he's running the centre 3/4. He's clever. What he's done is he's running at the weaker side of the Bradford defence, and quite frankly, my wife could have scored a try like that, because that is non-existent defending, and it pains me to talk like that, but that's not allowable in a rugby league team for me. And Jeff Tuvey, that's why I think Jeff Tuvey will go, because he doesn't coach that, and we just lost any grit, any teeth with Sirenan went off, and at the moment it'll be a case of how many we can keep it down to, because it's now the Bulls 12, the visitors Batley 20. The conversion had come from 10 metres in from this main stand side, and it's the method of the try, how easy it was to run through.
Well, Pat Walker has no trouble kicking that one, so that's his 3rd from 4 this afternoon, and as we say, Batley certainly now looking and gathering and being in the ascendancy here at Odsal Stadium. So Bradford Bulls 12, Batley Bulldogs 22, and Lee Smith will get us back underway. Just puts the ball on the kicking tee. Around about 4.5 minutes left of this one then, the first half here. Don't forget you're listening to the Big Match Live, brought to you in association with Provident, supporting Bull supporters home and away here on BCB 106.6 FM, the home of live sport in Bradford. So the ball goes deep then, and we see Batley now with Alex Rowe come on another barnstorming run. He's certainly putting himself about today, Obbo, is Alex Rowe, and he's the kind of player that I think Bradford could do within the
Yeah, he makes a nuisance of himself, and he likes to. He's a physical player, as is Farrell, and physical players only achieve what they achieve in the physicality stakes when their opponents let them.
Yeah.
And that's what Bradford have done. Sadly, that's what Bradford have done. It's very inexperienced side out, lots of injuries, so you've got to make allowances for that. But you've got to hit hard in the tackle. If you don't do that, then you just, quite frankly, you're asking for it.
So we see Dom Brambani then kick on the 5th and last tackle. That will go to Willis McCanny. Willis McCanny will go across the park, not really making any yards, but eventually brought down on his own 10-metre line. Bradford struggling to get back in numbers, but we now see the referee's called play back here. He's going to go for a penalty and give the penalty to Batley, and basically he said that Bradford have not played the ball correctly.
Well, I didn't think that was the case, but then that is about 70 or 80 metres away, Pete, so let's give him his due. He's on top of the job. Well, that gives have been there on the spot, but I felt that was a bit of a harsh decision.
Well, that gives Batley a great platform now to build, and as we see Dave Scott, the fullback of Batley, managing to get around about 11 metres shy of the Bradford Bulls line, as we now see Batley will continue with Adam Gledel. Then he'll go straight towards the sticks, but he's wrapped up in a 2-man tackle of Bradford. But Batley still push the ball out now to the northern stand terrace side, and that's a great hit out there from Vila Halafifi, managing to wrap up the Batley player over on the northern stand terrace side. But we'll still see Batley will come back with Alex Rowe. He will take the ball forward, and that now if Bradford get penalised for a wrong play of the ball, how can that be a
try to Batley? He's going to give a try to Batley, and Bradford stood and argued with the referee, who just wasn't on top of the job there. Batley just kept on playing like all good teams should do, and from 10 metres in from the far terrace side, they buried themselves under the Bradford defenders, And boy, is this a bad day at the office now, because Bradford have just, for me, capitulated. But there was a wrong decision there by the referee. That try shouldn't have been allowed, but it was a try all the way, because the Bradford players remonstrate with the line of the referee, but he's having nothing of it. He's lost control of the game after a good first 20 minutes, and Batley moves further. It's now the Bradford Bulls 12, the visitors 26, and Batley created an error, I thought, there, Pete, where what they did, they played to the whistle. And the whistle didn't go, so they played on and they buried themselves under 4 Bradford defenders.
Well, you can probably hear the slow hand clap here from the supporters that sit in this main stand, watching the game here today alongside ourselves. And Matt, if we go back there, what we actually saw, Alex Rowe wrapped up in the tackle. Now, he didn't even stand up to play the ball. He just let the ball roll through his leg, and play continued. That we see a kick from Pat Walker that actually is missed. So, score on the Provident scoreboard: Bradford Bulls 12, Batley Bulldogs 26. Bradford promised so much in the opening 20 minutes,
and now it
has completely disappeared.
It's evaporated like whiskey does if you leave the top off. And Bradford have got to get a grip of this, and I can't see Surinam coming back on me personally. He was the only one that looked like he could sock it to Batley. Just gone.
As we see now, Tom Bram Barney then comes up with an error, and that will see a scrum form quickly by the Bradford Bulls. Pat, the referee will stop the clock as Bradford now. There's around about 17 seconds left of this first half, Mark, I think, on the Provident clock, if I'm about right.
I make it 20 seconds, but that's not.
Yeah.
That's what the clock says, but whether the referee will play any extra time, I'm not too sure.
Alright, so we wait for Batley to form the scrum. The ball does eventually go into the scrum, and we see Ross Peltier then take a drive. Ross Peltier will use his big frame. He manages to get Bradford 7 metres shy of the try line. More messing about there at the ruck area. Corey Aston goes one way, then drops the other, feeds Scotty Moore. Scotty Moore then thinks about letting the ball go as a hooter sounds here, and the referee stops the game as we see the ball placed on the kicking tee then, and Wayne Renretier kicks that one deep. That will go into the hands of Scott Moore. Scott Moore will feed Mikel Alaleski. Mikel Alaleski will burst forward to the 20 metre mark. A great run there from Mikel Alaleski. And what can Bradford do here as Brandon Wilkinson goes forward on the next drive? Bradford putting the ball through hands as we see now the third tackle is completed, and Bradford just shy of their own 40 metre line. Ross Peltier will goes one way, beats one tackle, manages to get over the halfway line, and just inside the Batley half on the fourth tackle, Sam Alice feeds Corey Aston. Corey Aston then throws the ball across to James Mendika. James Mendika is eventually wrapped up over on the far northern terrace side, and Bradford will go with a little kick over the top. That's a really easy kick for Jason Crooks to take over on the northern stand terrace side. That will see Batley get back to their own 20 metre line on the first tackle, and Bradford will now have to defend as Batley will no doubt look to use this big pack and come at this Bradford team in numbers as they do. Still over on the northern stand terrace side, players around about 10 metres in. And we now sit just shy of the halfway line as Batley on the third tackle will give the ball to Alex Rowe. Alex Rowe then makes his way over the halfway line. He's still going, manages to claw his way to the Bradford Bulls 40 metre line as Batley encamp in this Bradford half, and will put the ball through hands, and eventually we see Dane Manning wrapped up there in a two-man tackle from Scott Moore and James Mendika. Bambani will kick on the last one. On the last tackle, that will be collected by Sam Alice, and Sam Alice is eventually wrapped up under the tackle. Mark, opening stages, is it same as? Have we seen anything that is going to stand out?
Well, I think so far the Bradford Bulls have just got to get a feel of this game and play a bit harder and hit harder in the tackle. It's what I see now, where how far they can get with their sets, bringing themselves away from their own defensive line. Batley, I think, are very, very confident. They're up for this. It's probably a good job Pat Walker and brought his kicking boots, because they'd be even further in front, wouldn't they? It's what they do the next 10 minutes, I think, it'll count for me. I think if the Bradford Bulls can get a couple of scores in the next 10 minutes, we've got a real game on. But so far they're on tackle number 5 and they've gained 30 metres. Well, that tells me we're not going anywhere.
So Corey Aston then will kick on the last tackle then. That will see the ball go to the hands of Dave Scott. Sorry, Sean Ainscough. Sean Ainscough will bring the ball back, manages to slip one tackle, but then eventually is wrapped up and he falls 5 metres shy of their own 40 metre line. But through Dave Scott, then on the next drive, Batley managed to get themselves slowly but surely towards the Bradford Bulls halfway line. And again, we see Adam Gledel then. He goes inside and manages to claw his way into the Bradford half. So Bradford now concede a penalty for being offside. And that will give further advantage to Batley. That's the first penalty of this half.
Well, the last thing you want is to be caught offside. When you're under the pump, you're under the cosh, you are 14 points behind against a pack that's just walking over the top of you all the time, and that's what Bradford have done there. They're going to dig deep now and defend hard and hopefully come up with something and force Batley into an error.
So Bradley Day then takes the first drive for Batley. He manages to get the Bulldogs just shy of the 20 metre line. Batley will put the ball through hands. Bambani dancing one way, manages to offload to Pat Walker. Pat Walker will then straighten up and go towards the sticks on the third tackle of this set. Bradford again having to defend, but that is so easy for Bradley Day, who just palms Scott Moore out of the way, and Brandon Wilkinson. And Matt, that was like a paper cutting scissors cutting paper, or a hot knife through butter. He just absolutely sliced through there with no difficulty and no resistance whatsoever.
Well, you didn't even think it was a try on, did you? Because you thought nobody could defend like that, and the defences, the Bradford Bulls have given in, quite frankly. And this is now going to be quite embarrassing. I think you could see a big score today. And does it get any worse? Not really. And I think that Bradford now need to wait for the season to come to an end very quickly, get out of this, regroup, get some players, and get on with rebuilding the club, because this is just a display of how not to defend. And if any young man watching this game want to learn how not to defend, then you watch this, because that's just what's happening. It's just they're picking Bradford off at will down this right-hand channel. Very sad to see it from the Bradford side. Bradford normally a very physical team over the years, a strong team. People have been frightened to death to come watch. So we're going to ask Carl Harrison about that. And I don't think I've ever known a situation whereby we sort of, I'm probably taking something away from Batley, but Batley are doing nothing fancy. They're not having to, quite frankly.
No, I think you're right there. That the way that Bradford are at the moment, they've certainly played towards, or certainly played into the Batley game plan, if you like, that
without a shadow of a doubt
Batley had. Yeah. But it's like you say, it's amazing how Damien Sirenen going off has affected the team, Mark. And you were asked the question at half time, does one man affect the team's performance?
Well, it shouldn't do, but it has done. But when the rest of the team are as physical as they might be in the pack, then you've got a problem. But the score now is the Bradford Bulls 12, Batley Bulldogs moving further at 32, and only 6 minutes of this second half gone, so a long way to go yet. And of course, this programme brought to you in association with Provident, supporting Bull supporters home and away. Let's be fair to the Bradford Bulls, they've had to regroup and rejig the side today, haven't they? No recognised standoff half out there, lots of injuries, but you're still going to be able to defend, and you've got to defend your own line.
So we see Batley quickly work the ball towards the Northern Stand Terrace side then, and on the fifth and last tackle of this set, and Bradford again having to muscle up the defence. That will hit Brambani. Brambani will kick that over the heads of the Bradford defence, and the Bradford quite happy to let that ball go dead, as we see Josh Ricketts. Josh Ricketts then pick the ball up and tap the ball on the 20 metre line to start this set of 6. But again, Batley slow to clear the ruck, as Brandon Wilkinson now comes with the ball to try and get Bradford towards their own 40 metre line, but not really going forward with any purpose of vigour. Then Ilias McCartney will take a drive towards the centre of the park, and falls down 45 metres shy of his own try line. Corey Aston then feeds Scott Moore. Scott Moore will go one way, sells the dummy, manages to get inside the Batley half, and will get Bradford to 35 metres. Then the ball is knocked out. The referee says, he first of all said that was back to 1, but then he's done Bradford for a knock on, so that will see the scrum formed, and the ball go to Batley. Mark, I was a bit concerned there by that shout, because he waved play on, he waved back to 1, and then he's pulled Bradford for a knock on.
Well, you know where the linesman intervened there, but Scott Moore was trying to get the ball away to try and get something going, because Scotty Moore knows unless Bradford do something in the next sort of 10 minutes or so, and I said that 5 minutes ago, then nothing's going to happen. I think we're in for a very difficult day at the office. It doesn't look like Bradford are going to score the way they're playing at the moment, and I can see Batley putting another 4 or 5 tries on. I hope I'm wrong. They're just going to muscle up for 10 minutes and hurt Batley in the tackle and hopefully get the ball back.
Well, what you're seeing is a bit of a masterclass from Alistair Leake and Dom Brambani in the halves as they look at every opportunity to exploit the gaps that are appearing in the Bradford defence. Batley sit on the Bulls 30-metre line on the third tackle of this set of 6, and Batley will go forward there through James Harrison. He will be wrapped up by Liam Kirk and Brandon Wilkinson, but Batley managing to get the way towards the sticks. They now sit around about 3 metres shy of the try line. They'll quickly move the ball through hands. The gaps appear, and Dom Brambani will ghost in for a try, and Matt, I think John Barney deserves that try, because he's certainly been masterful at his craft. I'm not taking anything away from either team here, but again, he took his opportunity well there.
Well, I know the kid very, very well, and I played with his dad, so that just shows how old I am. But he just ran at the Bradford defence. He knows, as the Batley players know, this is the weakest Bradford side they've probably ever seen in the history of the club, and it is, in my opinion. The defence today is absolutely non-existent, and when the defence is non-existent, you can score tries at will. Don Brambini, just like it was on a training ground, 15 metres out, 10 metres, 30 metres to the right hand side of the Bradford post, ran at the line, showed what we call showed and good, showed the ball fainted, pumped it out to the right and then pulled it back in. Everybody just watched him go past, planted the feet and went over the line. The body language alone tells you Bradford are gone. They're beaten. This is now a case of how many can we keep it down to.
Is it
I think it's that bad now.
Damage limitation.
I think it's damage limitation now.
Yeah.
Which is going to be very difficult, because Pat Walker's just converted that.
Yeah, Pat Walker kicks that one. That will see the score on the Provident scoreboard now read Bradford Bulls 12, the Batley Bulldogs 38. And what started as a promising afternoon for Bradford has slowly but surely changed into an afternoon now where they're going to have to fight, and they're going to have to graft, and they're going to have to pull the socks up.
Well, you've got an England international in Lee Smith out there, and I've not seen Lee Smith do one thing. You're on ex-England international. He's not got his shirt dirty. He's not shouted. He's not communicated, and for me, that's not acceptable. These players want beasting. They want running. They want to take it up to Catterick Garrison and turn into men that can tackle and not scared of putting the body on the line. Until you do that, you're going to get beaten by mediocre sides. I'm very scathing, and I probably sound as if I'm very scathing, but that's the harsh reality of the situation. I've never seen tries leaked in today, Pete, ever on a rugby league field by professional rugby league players as I have today. Absolutely incredible.
Well, gaps have appeared in the defensive line, Matt, with ease, and it's been quite easy for Bambani and Leake to just put players through gaps, as we see Batley kick on the last tackle. That will be regathered by Lee Smith. He'll pick that up on his own 10-metre line. He'll then throw the ball
There you go.
Brandon to Josh Ricketts. Well, Josh Ricketts knocks on, and Batley
some of that enough, and I don't blame them for having enough, because that is absolutely Batley have scored, so it's now Batley 42, Bradford 12, and I've seen 3 fans just get up and walk out. They've had enough, and I don't blame them, because enough is enough now. Because Lee Smith there, from the kick from Brambini, had all the time in the world. He ran back, he picked up the ball, he should have turned and just created some yards with it and just taken the tackle. He flicked it backwards, there was nobody there. Batley saw it, no disrespect to Batley. They kicked the ball over, they picked the ball up and touchdown, and I don't know how you defend that. I don't know what Jeff Dewey's going to say. I wouldn't come to the press conference, because you can't defend that. That's just indefensible. Under 9s don't play like that, Pete. It's just absolutely incredible. And I feel for the fans that pay the money week in, week out, because you don't deserve to watch that on a bank holiday Monday any day of the week or any day of the weekend.
Well, change your kicker here, Mark.
Yep.
And And we see Crane Southernwood, who's now on the park, and Kane Southernwood takes that one. Mark, do we know who scored the try? Because in all the confusion, I'm not too sure who actually scored the try for Batley.
It could be one or two Batley players, and I'm just going to find out in a second. As we, I think we're all more bothered about commentating on the mistake, because I think the mistake was more important than the actual try, with all due respect to the player.
I can't understand what Lee Smith were going through his head there on the first tackle of that set, where he just threw the ball inside to Josh Ricketts, and obviously Josh Ricketts, I don't think we're expecting him to pass it, and that just then.
Well, I think it was Leake that scored the try. I'm sure it was Leake that scored the try.
So that's his hat trick today.
It is, and he's had to go, hasn't he, Leake? But there's been no opposition there, has there, for him? And I'm not trying to take anything away from the half-backs for Batley. But since Damien Sutton went off, the Aussie hard man, it's just a case of capitulation to the Bulls.
Well, Alistair Leake is absolutely now running riot, and he's certainly got the wind in his sails as he's dancing and jigging and asking questions of this Bradford defence. So is Bram Barney, but Bram Barney then looks to give a pass out. That pass will go to Dane Manning. Dane Manning will be wrapped up, and again we'll see Leake going at acting half. We'll then see Kane Southernwood put a little chip kick in. And the chip kick hits a Bradford player, and then the referee clears the tackle count and gives the ball back to Batley and says 0 count. We see a stoppage in play now as a Bradford player is down injured. I'm not too sure who that is, Mark, from where we sit here.
We'll tell you in a second. Is it Hallis? He'll get up to his feet and turn the right way, so we can't see his head. All we can see is him on his haunches. Excuse me. I think it is Hallis. I'm not too. I think it is Sam Hallis. I shouldn't talk about next season, Pete, but on this performance, you wouldn't back the Bradford Bulls to get out of that division below, would you?
Well, I've covered. I mean, you know that obviously prior to stepping into the breach here and commentating on the Bulls, I've obviously been covering quite a lot of the games in League One.
Yeah, you've seen it more than you've more experience in that league.
To be honest with you, one of the things I've always picked up on the commentary and things like that I've heard you and others talk about is the youthfulness and the effervescence of this of the Bradford Bulls team. At the start of the season, and how young it was and how enthused it was and things like that. Well, I've got to be honest with you. There's teams that are in that league, the likes of Emil, the likes of Gloucester, Newcastle spring to mind, who are, predominantly young lads who are very, very enthusiastic and will have a go. Yeah. And you don't get. I mean, in this championship, we've said it before. You get the players who have been around the block, Mark. They've played at a higher level and then they've come down a division. In that division, you don't get too many of those types of players.
No.
Again, you get lads that play more on enthusiasm, more than what they know. Brambani then puts the ball to hands. That will see Dane Manning hauled down a metre shy of the Bradford try line. And now Batley come again on a crash ball, but again Bradford's defence manages to muscle up on that one. Liam Kirk in there keeping out Gledel, and again now Batley are held up over the line. Well, the referee says it's a knock on, but that
was a bit of a bagatelle ball, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Through it, bagatelled off a Bradford player, bagatelled off a Batley player, and I think the linesman intervened there and said it came off a Batley hand, so it was scrum on the 10 metre mark, a much relieving pressure scrum for Bradford Bulls, about 20 metres in, 10 metres out from their own try line. And what can they do now, Bradford? And again, I think this is damage limitation, and so sad to see people leaving the game. So more mature people who've been through the years, seen this great club, go to the top and then come back down to the bottom again.
Bradford then have the ball. Corey Aston will take a few yards, takes the ball to the line. He's then wrapped up by 4 Batley tacklers. They push him back towards his own 10 metre line. No support there, Mark, from his Bradford teammates as he was pushed back there. You would have thought that they'd have gathered round to try and stop that, but Batley now muscling up in defence. The ball will go through hands. We see eventually the ball go through Brandon Pickersgill, who's now on the park for a run this afternoon, and then he gets up and plays the ball. The ball will be through Mikael Alaleski. Mikael Alaleski takes a drive. That is played then by Scott Moore. Scott Moore plays the ball to Corey Aston. Corey Aston kicks that forward. It bounces about. You've got a gathering, it's like a mother's union on the halfway line as the referee stops, he'll stop play, he'll give the ball to Batley and say, right, you can have it. Last tackle set, and Batley will start the game on the halfway line. And there's no atmosphere here, Mark. I feel as if I'm in a void.
Well, I think the fans are stunned because I think the fans thought from last week's performance and the performance before that they had a chance. Batley are the better of the teams at the bottom of the league. That's why they're in the position they're in, and they've come into some form. But after the opening stanza where Sheridan was running amok, Bradford weren't making the mistakes, and it was a 12-0 lead. Then I think there was some great hope today for a victory. Doesn't mean a great deal, does it? Because they're still going down to the lower division. But the performance and some hope for the future, and I think that's been dashed a little bit today on a bank holiday Monday at home at Odsal Stadium, which is not what the board and the coach would have wanted.
Well, I think, Mark, if you look at it, and from speaking to the coaching staff of Bradford and stuff like that, that they saw that they've got some momentum. As we see, Batley now will score, although the referee's going to bring that back for a forward pass as Wayne Renretti thought that he was in there for a try that would have pushed Batley further ahead. I'm just looking round and we see fans here shaking their heads in disagreement, as they watch this one. But going back to what I was saying, all the talk from the coaching staff and certainly from the player after the Swinton game was that yes, they've got a bit of momentum and they've got a bit of pride back in themselves. But obviously, on a showing like this, Mark, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to lift the troops again. As we see, Ross Peltier gives the ball to Elias McCarney. Elias McCarney will make his way 25 metres away from his own try line as he tries to put on the burners, but he's wrapped up. Ross Peltier then offloads to Scott Moore. Scott Moore spots the gap. Scott Moore will get the Bradford Bulls just shy of the 40 metre line. A bit of play, a bit of messing about of the play, the ball there. And again, Ross Peltier takes the ball standing still, doesn't get any momentum, and eventually the referee does now pull Batley for being offside. Hobbo.
The referee has made a decision there that goes in the favour of Bradford. And I'm just looking there at the go forward from Ross Peltier, and I'm going to be horsewhipped by the fans tonight for my scathing criticisms. But why can't a rugby league forward lift his knees and run hard and fast and run 10 metres in a straight line?
Bradford then, with Corey Aston, will get the play centre field, and Scott Moore will take that. Scott Moore will feed the ball onto Brandon Pickersgill. Brandon Pickersgill to Lee Smith. Lee Smith then throws a pass to Elias McCarney. Elias McCarney can't pull that with him. Batley then come up with possession through Jason Crooks over on the northern terrace side. The ball then goes in a quick play of the ball to Sean Ainscough. Sean Ainscough then is up. He's tackled and then he gets up, plays the ball, and that will see Adam Gledell then take the drive and get Batley towards the halfway line after 4 drives, and Batley making yards with quite ease here as they put the ball through hands. Eventually the ball does find its way to Sam Smeaton. Sam Smeaton then throws a wild pass, and we'll wait for the referee here to say which way this is going to go. He does award the head and feet to Bradford, much to Wayne Renretti and Sam Smeaton's disagreement.
Well, I think it was a bit of wishful thinking. The pass went out the back door. Wayne Renretti wasn't there, and the decision's exactly right. It's scant reward really for Bradford because there's 20 minutes to go in this half. It's 44 points to 12, and the Bradford Bulls are going to do something quickly to regain any kind of respect. And you don't get it by throwing a ball like that from the base of the scrum either. But there you go. The programme, of course, brought to you in association with Provident, supporting Bull supporters home and away. It's 106.6 FM, the home of Life Sport in Bradford. I'm Mark Hobson, alongside me is Pete Dutton, and the game is the Bradford Bulls versus the Batley Bulldogs. So Bradford then, with the ball in hand, and now playing for pride and trying to get a toll back in this game, as Corey Aston then takes the ball, and a little bit of indecisiveness there in Bradford. Sees Bradford actually lose yardage here against the Batley Bulldogs, and then we see a slip from Scott Moore. Scott Moore then is eventually wrapped up in a tackle from James Harrison and gets up and shakes his head. The ball will then find its way to Brandon Pickersgill. Brandon Pickersgill puts a kick in, and then we see
Brandon Wilkinson, helped out by James Bentley, push Dave Scott behind the line for the first dropout of the game, Mark, that will go to Bradford.
Yes, it will, and that's more like it, and we should have been doing a little bit more of that earlier on in the game. But Batley in control of this game, and Bradford are trying to claw their way back in any way, shape or form they can. They're proving very, very difficult. When you think at the beginning of the season, Pete, how much hope there was for Bradford to do better, even with a 12-point deduction, I was one that thought it could be done, and I was wrong, obviously. But with Leon Price here and the signs.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question now, Mark. As we see the ball go through hands, James Bentley will race away. If James Bentley offloads to Josh Ricketts, and Josh Ricketts is eventually brought down 8 metres from the Batley Bulldogs try line. Scott Moore takes that one, but the ball's actually gone backwards, and Bradford lose a little bit of yardage on the 10-metre line as Corey Aston now will go one way. He will try to find a gap in the Batley Bulldogs defence, but that gap's not there, as we see Bradford still going forward through Mikhail Alaleski. Mikhail Alaleski will try and barge his way towards the line. He's eventually wrapped up by 5 Batley tacklers. That creates gaps in this Batley defence, as we see Liam Kirk go over, and the referee is going to give a knock on there and say that he's knocked on as he's gone over for the try.
Well, I couldn't see that. There were plenty of bodies over the top of the big imposing figure of Liam Kirk, but the referee's down there, he's on the spot. You've got to say he's got it right, because we can't see it. And if it wasn't for bad luck, the Bradford Bulls have no luck at all. Injuries, problems, and then just no luck whatsoever. Do it the hard way, Bradford, and that's very often what happens when you're down at the bottom.
I was just going to go back to a point that you made there, Mark, about Leon Price. Now, my question I'm going to put to you is, do you think that even now that Price would have still been able to have some sort of influence and some sort of put some sort of mark on this team and this season?
That's a good question. It's a very good, it's a difficult one to answer. I'm going to say yes, because of all his experience, but I don't know how bad his injuries were that he was carrying, which would allow his brain to translate his abilities as a rugby league player into his bodily movements. But you would have thought yes, wouldn't you? Because that's what we've lacked today. We've lacked any brains, any thinking about to close Batley down. So Batley knock on, then we see the scrum formed, and Bradford get the put in. Mikhail Alaleski goes on a fantastic run there as Bradley Dave Batley tries to pinch the ball in the tackle, but that's not happening. Then we see Lee Smith throw an absolutely stinker of a pass. It's the only way it can be described, and that is shocking. That finds, well, it doesn't even find a man. It goes straight into the porter cabins here at Odsall, and I just don't know what Lee Smith will swing in there, man. But that is absolutely unless you
shocking.
thought his winger there was 7'8", you got absolutely no chance. I mean, that's just, he'd been better off taking the tackle and going down, but it's not to be. But Bradford have the restart and can play the ball again.
So Bradford get the ball back for on this play. Brandon Pickersgill then throws the ball. The ball is juggling about a little bit as we see Vila Halafihi cut back inside and take the play back towards the 10-metre line. But we'll now see Mikhail Alaleski spin one way, burst the other way, and Mikhail Alaleski will be held up over the sticks. And again, the referee said that that's a knock-on. That will give scrum feed to Batley, just when you thought that Bradford were going to score there. So we've seen 2 tries now disallowed for knock-ons, Matt, as they've gone in to score the ball from the big men. So, surely it's something, you hold on to the ball, you don't let it go.
Well, I think in running in ones and running in single units and being what I call frenetic, trying to be the one to score the try, and I can understand that, because everybody wants to be the one that gets his team going. That's causing that problem, but it's down to, it's not fitness. Bradford are fit. You can see that Bradford are fit. They're still running, they're still cutting across. It's down to talent, it's down to ability. It's physical mentality and it's talent. And a lot of coaches have said to me, Mick Potter was one, there's no such thing as talent. Well, you're wrong, Mick, there is. Because talented players run the gap at the right time. Talented players take the line and pass the ball properly. Talented players don't throw the ball back when there's nobody there. talent's a combination of lots of things. He's been fit, he's having the right mentality, he's having the good footwork, he's good at having the right posture, his shape and structure's got to be right, and we need more of that because we haven't got it in abundance here. That's why we're losing 44 points to 12 against Batley.
Well, you're not missing any action here because play has actually stopped as we have a couple of injuries to Batley players and the referee has actually stopped the play. So there's nothing happening here. We've got about 15 minutes left on the clock as I look at that. Couple of quick scores that I've got then. Obviously Bradford Bulls 12, Batley 44, Dewsbury Rams 12, Swinton 26, and Rochdale Hornets 14, Oldham 18.
Right, so very close. We've got Swinton one wrong, haven't we? Because or so far we have, because I thought that would have been a defeat for Swinton. Fighting for survival in that league, Pete. That just shows you.
It does. So Batley then will get the play back underway here. They will feed the scrum. The ball comes out from the scrum, and that will see Batley through Farrell, managing to get the way to the Bradford to their own 30-metre line, and Farrell wanting to mix it up again on the around the ruck area, but not having any of it. The referee at this stage, but we see Batley try and keep the ball alive. Now that went through a few pair of hands. We saw William Maher. He offloaded to Alex Rowe. Alex Rowe then in the tackle tried to offload, but the ball went to ground. That was hacked forward then by Joe Farrell, and the referee's brought the play back. He's going to form the scrum and give the heaven feed to Bradford as we wait for the scrum. And there's no urgency whatsoever, Mark. No urgency whatsoever.
No, that's a disappointing thing. That's the problem. You will look like you want to win. Whether you win or not, almost, in Bradford's case this season, almost academic now. But it's the ability to want to win. That's the difference, and that's what has not been there today. But I make it 14 minutes left back on the 40 minutes left, sorry, on the scoreboard, and it's Provident, of course, bring you the game in association with them. Provident supporting Bull supporters home and away, and it's BCB 106.6 FM.
Bradford will go looking then in search of something here. We see a bit of a wild pass from Corey Aston, but that will see Lee Smith then wrapped up over on the northern stand terrace side. He quickly gets up and plays the ball, and the ball will come in field. We'll see Brandon Pickersgill trying to get something going here on the fifth and last tackle then, as Scotty Moore goes forward. He offloads to Mikhail Alaleski. Mikhail Alaleski is then wrapped up by four Batley tacklers in the centre of the park, and Batley nullify that attack and will get the ball back and ready to go again. And we see now Bambani and Leake just organising their troops and getting the big fellas ready to take some drives here. Scotty Moore tries to grab a loose pass there, but unfortunately the Batley player manages to just rake that back in, so that will keep possession with Batley. Farrell will come forward again, throwing all his body and all his weight behind that one as he goes into the tackle. Manages to get to his own 20-metre line, as Batley now on the third drive of this set of six will get over their own 30-metre line and advance towards their own 40-metre line. But Bradford's defence there remaining strong on this one. But again, Leake goes one way, swaps his feet, dazzles one way, manages to spot the gap in the Bradford defence, races away towards the halfway line, is eventually wrapped up by Cameron Smith, and we see Batley now go forward again, and they manage to get their way to the Bradford Bull 30-metre line and the fifth and last tackle. So Batley inside the Bradford half, the ball will go through hands. We'll see Joe Farrell then with a little kick. That is collected by Brandon Pickersgill, and Brandon Pickersgill is wrapped up underneath the tackle there from Joe Farrell. So we now see Elias McCanny. Elias McCanny will give the ball to Josh Ricketts. Josh Ricketts then goes one way, sells a dummy, straightens up, and is eventually wrapped up 19 metres away from his own try line. And Bradford now coming down the park on this main stand terrace side as James Bentley pushes off one, but is eventually wrapped up by Wayne Retty. And again, Bradford quickly play the ball. Vila Ralififi will see Scott Moore. Scott Moore fumbles. The referee says that went back, but Corey Aston doesn't really take advantage of any yardage gains there. But again, he's easily picked off by the Batley defence. Mikhail Alaleski then will go towards the Batley 40-metre line. And again, Joe Farrell is in there with William Maher, wrapping up Alaleski on that one. Bradford on the fifth and last. A little chip kick over from Cameron Smith, but again Batley regather that one. Ellis McCann in the tackle, and we see Sean Ainscough go down with a bit of a knock over on the far northern terrace side. Mark, you sat there quiet. I've never known you this quiet.
No, I'm disappointed with what I've seen today, and what it's taught me is that Bradford Bulls are a long way to go to come back, and maybe that's not a bad thing, which may sound strange, because you can't let a team like Batley, and no disrespect to Matt Disk and his troops, put 44 points up you in the method that they have done. You've got to defend the middles, you've got to be tough, you've got to be physically strong in the tackle. If you don't do any of those things, you don't compete in a rugby league game. So that is I'm looking for where it's going to come from for Bradford, and I just can't see it. I mean, Batley again in 40-50 metres with the sets, Bradford aren't, and it's going to be has been a difficult day at the office.
Well, Batley kick on the last tackle, and eventually the ball is regathered, but Bradford come up with a knock-on with Josh Ricketts, so Batley will get the feed at the scrum. Bradford in no urgency whatsoever to form the scrum, neither are Batley in that manner. But Matt, if you remember back when we started the broadcast today, we spoke about the games between these two, and how close they've been in circumstances. But obviously this one has thrown that one out of the window.
It has thrown it out of the window, and I'm shocked, because I thought that if Bradford got the tactic right, they could beat Batley. It was going to be difficult, because Batley had a bit better form than Bradford. The same team, as you alluded to, Pete, have played together for a long time. That little bit stronger overall with the experience, particularly in the pack. But I thought Bradford could give them a good run for the money, particularly here at Odsal Stadium in front of the home crowd. And it's not worked out, and it really tells you that a lot of injuries for Bradford. They've had to regroup and reshuffle again. There's no real half-backs out there today. All right, they've got Corey Aston, but he's not had a stand-off half with him. But it has been very difficult, very, very difficult. And maybe that's the answer. Maybe the answer is we're going to regroup and come again. Maybe this season is complete. Well, it has gone.
Yeah. Batley then on the third tackle of this set of six have put the ball through hands. Eventually find Joe Farrell, but Joe Farrell is wrapped up in the tackle. And again, Batley will ask questions of this Bradford Bulls defence. Centre of the park then, as we say, Lee go one way, then finds Brambani. Brambani then finds Sam Smeaton. Sam Smeaton manages to crawl his way forward. He will fall around about a metre shy of the line, and then we'll see Dave Scott take a little drive, and he's eventually wrapped up there by Brandon Pickersgill. And Bradford get the possession, and the referee's saying go back before you play the ball, but Bradford now will come again. Scotty Moore takes the first drive of this set of six. He's wrapped up by three Batley tacklers, Alex Rowe being one of them, and Bradford again with Ross Peltier now. Ross Peltier gets towards his own 10 metre line. He's then actually pushed back by the Batley defenders, and now the referee Callum Straw gives the penalty to Bradford for Batley being offside, and we've got around about 7 minutes left of this one, Mark, and it's not
well, let's give some credit to Bradford. I thought this might have been a cricket score 25 minutes ago, and Bradford managed to hold Batley out. So you've got to say the fitness. It isn't the fitness that's in question. Brad, people question the fitness. They're not unfit. They're very fit. It's the ability to shut games down. It's the ability to drive the ball in. It's the experience, and it's the lack of knowing when to do things at the right time that's cost Bradford, as it has in a lot of games. But 44 to 12, I thought there was maybe going to be 68 from Batley. Bradford might get a score on the board. We hope they do before the final whistle's blown. But it's been a difficult day at the office, and of course move on next week to Sheffield. It's going to be no easier.
No, it certainly isn't. But obviously Sheffield have got that long trip too. As we see now, the ball go through hands. Ellis McCartney over on the far touchline, will cut back inside, he'll offload, and Bradford will go in search of a try here, but eventually the Batley Bulldogs muscling up in defence over on the far northern terrace side in the bottom corner, as we wait for Bradford now to pull the ball back. Bradford with Ross Peltier. Ross Peltier drops with shoulder, goes one way, bursts one tackle, manages to get himself around about 5 metres away from the Batley Bulldogs try line, loses the ball. The referee then gives possession to Batley. He then stops the play and says knock on. So he will now form the scrum. I'm just waiting to see which way he's going to go, and he will give possession to Batley. So again, we see another big man carry the ball, Matt, and not hold on to the ball. I'm surprised because
the reason he's done that, Pete, is because his shape wasn't right, his structure. What I keep harping about shape and structure. You can't just spin and pirouette like a ballerina with a ball in you and expect to score a trophy. You've got to lie deeper. You've got to point your body between the two defenders. That's done 3 or 4 seconds before you run onto the ball, not at the last minute, and that's the problem. Then all of a sudden you find yourself with 3 or 4 defenders around you. Your shape's not right. Your body's in a bit of an awkward position. It's easy for you to spill the ball.
Score on the Provident scoreboard reads Bradford Bulls 12, Batley Bulldogs 44. We've got around about 5 minutes left of this one then, as Batley are in possession, and again with Alistair Leake will want to come forward. Alistair Leake gets Adam Gledell on the front foot. Gledell drops the ball. Sam Alice picks that one up. The referee says play on. Sam Alice goes one way. Then we see Joe Farrell come in with a shoulder, drop the shoulder into Sam Alice to try and knock him over. Eventually Sam Alice is brought down, but Sam Alice then goes looking for Farrell. He's certainly pointing the finger there as Bradford continue with Mikel Alaleski taking that drive and managing to get Bradford on the front foot here. Ball through hand, Scotty Moore then. Scotty Moore feeds Pickersgill to Bentley. Bentley goes one way. Bentley drops a shoulder. If Bentley had a passed to James Mendika, Bradford were in, but Bradford could still score here as we see Ross Peltier barge towards the line. He's going to be held up over the line. And Mark.
Wow, as hard as they try the Bradford Bulls, they just can't get that ball over the whitewash. It's almost as if the ball won't go down. It's almost as if it's anti-magnetic and there's a magnetic strip over the try line. Surely they can do it at this stage now.
Well, Bradford come up with a knock-on then, and another error, which sums up the afternoon. I make that the 10th error of the game for Bradford.
Well, that means you're passing the ball over to the opposition in an 80-minute game once every 8 minutes. Well, you've got no chance, Peter, winning the game in that situation, have you?
No.
Unless you're playing against very, very weak opposition.
Batley over the halfway line. Waring Retty then picks up the ball, and he goes on another barnstorming run. So the wingers and the two wingers for Batley certainly managing to get some momentum there and take some pressure off their forwards as Batley will move the ball towards the northern stand terrace side, and eventually Bradford managed to get back. Bradford very slow in defence to get back here, but eventually do get back. So Bradford now all back in their own half as Batley will continue and ask questions on the 5th and last tackle then. What will Batley do here? We see Leake. Leake goes one way. He'll find Brambani. Brambani will put a little chip kick over the head. That will eventually fall into the hands of Josh Ricketts. Josh Ricketts will feed Brandon Pickersgill. Brandon Pickersgill manages to get over the around about 15 metres shy of his try line and eventually is wrapped up. Bradford then play the ball quickly. James Bentley onto Scott Moore. Scott Moore is brought down on his own 40 metre line on the second tackle. What can Bradford do here? Corey Aston, then Corey Aston to Lee Smith. Lee Smith is eventually wrapped up. Doesn't make many yards forward there, but he's brought down 41 metres away from his own try line as Bradford with Mikel Alaleski will go on another forward drive. Mikel Alaleski, the Leeds player on loan at Bradford until the end of the season, is eventually wrapped up and brought down. Bradford now with Ross Peltier. Ross Peltier to James Bentley. James Bentley goes one way and is picked off with Brambini, but he's still managing to go as we see Waring Retty come in with the elbow, and eventually the touch judge does come on to that one, but when Retty there straight in with the elbow mark, and I'm sure that he caught Bentley there high.
Yes, I think he's had a bit of a battle with Bentley all afternoon, has he? And, you know, he obviously wants to get one over on the young man. The young man's going to St Helens. Wayne Retty won't be going to St Helens, that is for sure.
No.
And I think there's a little bit of a petulance there. But Retty's another one that'll try it on. The referee's led him, and the Bradford pack haven't stopped him. Well, that's a recipe for it to carry on, isn't it? And, that's the way it goes. He's not going to send anybody off the referee. He would have done it a long time ago. I thought he got control in the first quarter of an hour, but it's almost academic now anyway. But because Bradford, with 2 minutes 17 seconds to go, all they can really do is get a consolation trying a conversion to make the score look a little bit less problematic for them.
The ball quickly goes through hands then over towards the northern stand terrace side, and eventually we see Bradford wrapped up with Lee Smith there wrapped up in the tackle. Corey Aston then will come one way, and that is another humdinger of a tackle that comes in on Corey Aston. He'll certainly feel that one. As Bradford announced their man of the match, and that goes to Nikolai Oleski. But again, Scott Moore will feed Ross Peltier. Ross Peltier feeds Oleski to Corey Aston. Corey Aston,
they're going to get a try here.
And we'll see Ilias McCartney eventually racing at the corner, and that will give the supporters something to cheer about.
Yeah.
In the closing stages of this one. And another try for Ilias McCartney.
Well, to be fair to Bradford, they've subdued the Batley attack. We told you Batley weren't that brilliant today. It was Bradford's woeful defence, 10 minutes either side of half-time that let the points in. But they spread the ball there in Bradford. They're fit enough. Fitness has got nothing to do with as far as Bradford's concerned. Young enough and fit enough, just not good enough. But they did spread the ball there. They spread it out wide through 4 or 5 pens of hands. And Ilias McCartney stretched the Batley defence, flew in at the corner. Much the ironic cheers of the Bradford faithful. So it's a Bulls 16, the visitors 44, with 50 seconds to go, and a conversion of the touchline side to come from Corey Aston.
So we wait then for Corey Aston to compose himself and try and convert this one, and he strikes that and manages to convert that one from the touchline. So that pushes the score to 18 points to 44 in favour of the Batley Bulldogs. Bradford Bulls 18, Batley Bulldogs 44, and again, you know, we're probably going to get pillared on social media, Mark, saying how uninspiring or how dour the commentary's been, or how ineffective it's been. Well, we can only say what we've seen, and what we've seen today is a capitulation of a Bradford team that started so well, and then had a player, one of the best players that Bradford have signed in the final hour goes, in Damien Sirenen, go off injured. And that's just seen Bradford fall apart.
Well, I think the art of commentary is to make something boring look entertaining, and I think we've alluded to the fact that it's entertaining. But you know, you've got to. The fans want to know who are listening how Bradford played. Well, we've explained to them how Bradford played, and Bradford get the penalty from the halfway line because of the kick out on the full by Batley. So the hoot has gone. So as soon as this ball's out of play, then and Aston kicks it over the top of Wayne Retty. Wayne Retty will let it go. He'll boot it over the line, I would think. He knows that, yes he does. That's it, finished, over and out. Good night Vienna. The men from down the road in the Heavy Woolwich district, the Batley Bulldogs, have won. It's the Bulls 18. The Bulls 18 late converted try by Corey Aston from Ilias McCartney.